Welcome back to Cafe Racer Garage. I am Dan, and today I'm going to work on the Cafe Racer cowl for the CB750. This is a fiberglass cowling, one piece, obviously the seat and the hump, all put into one. I built this thing. I'll leave a link to the actual build of this thing. There's actually a 3-part video series on how to do this from scratch, to actually make yourself a plug and then make yourself the part out of the plug, to make yourself a mold and then go from there. You don't have to go to that extent when you build one of these things, but I showed the entire process of how to do it properly if you want to do it just like this. But what I need to do now is fix it. It's got a few little imperfections in it which I just need to sort out, one of which the actual inside actually curves in, so when I take it on and off the frame it catches, and that's going to be no good when I actually wrap it with vinyl or however I do. If I paint it, something that I've got to fix, I don't really want it to be catching the whole time, so I'm going to fix that and also cut out this section in the center here because it dips down. I'll get you a bit closer and show you what I mean. So as you can see there's a bit of a dip in the center. It's not a real big concern, but I do want it to be flat across there to attach the seat and everything that's going to go on top of this. So I'm going to fix it, and it's not a really hard thing to do, so I'll show you how to do that if you want to do any repairs to fiberglass. And also it's kind of going to be hard to see this as well, but this curves in ever so slightly. There's a little bit of a nick there when I was cleaning it up, but that's okay. I believe I'm going to paint this. I'm going to do a couple of variations. I've mentioned that in a few of the other videos. So I'm going to do one that's wrapped with vinyl, another one that's painted, just to show you the process of each one. But this one I think I'm going to paint, so I do want to bring, I'm going to run a cut all the way through to there, to wherever it stops curving in, and bring it out and support it, and then put some fiberglass matting underneath it and resin. Let it go off and that'll be perfect. So I'm also going to be making a seat pan for this so that I can attach the upholstery to. So that's going to be something else I'll do and show you the process. I want to mention a few of the products that I'm using in this video, one of which is the actual plastic I'm using for the seat base. This is a really durable, hard plastic, perfect for this application. In fact, this plastic is easy to work with. It's not going to rust, it's easy to bend. You simply just need to put this stuff in the oven, leave it there for a bit of time, and then take it out, and it's super pliable. So if you want to make a flat seat base and just have curved edges, or you want it to conform to a certain shape, it'll do that perfectly. This plastic, as well as these clips, are available as a kit on my website. I'll leave a link to my website in the description below. It's caferacergarageshop.com. What's also available is the 3 different thicknesses of high density foam, perfect for motorcycle seats. I've got those available as well. I'm using this to actually cover that. So when I first grabbed this and put it in the oven, I had a knock on the door, and I went and answered it. It was my postie, and he delivered a package. I got talking to him, and I totally forgot about the plastic that was in the oven, and I left it in there way too long. Which brings me to a good point. If you're going to do this, make sure that you, make sure that you just stand by the oven, because it doesn't actually take that long to get like malleable, like pliable, to, you know, pretty much work with. And once it does get soft, you've got a really short time to work with it. So it does, you can heat it up again and again many times as you want, but just know that, you know, once it's soft and pliable, try and get it to the position you want it straight away. You can use a heat gun or even a I guess a blowtorch if you want, but just be mindful with a blowtorch, because the flame will actually burn the plastic. Not that it really matters if it's only a seat base and it's going to be covered in upholstery, but just something to mention. But my delivery that turned up was this. This is the brake reservoir that I'm going to be using for the CB750. It's actually obviously a Triumph one. It's a bit bigger than I expected it to be, but it's going to be awesome to replace the one that I have up there now, so it's going to sit up there nicely. What I was looking for when I bought this was something that's obviously CNC and a lot neater than the plastic one that's stock. Something with a viewing glass on that side with the outlet facing the same side, so that I can mount it like that and still be able to see the viewing glass. That's why I purchased that one. It does have Triumph written on top of it on the actual lid, which I'll show you. So yeah, there's a little Triumph written right there, but that's the only place they've actually got Triumph written on it. So what I'll do is I'll come up with something that I can obviously get rid of that, even if I have to sand this entire thing down, pretty much, I guess, re-anodize it. That's also one option, but I don't know, I'll figure that out later. First up, just gotta install it. So round two, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna use the heat gun to heat this up and make it pliable. I could do the oven again, but let's just use the heat gun. So one great advantage in this plastic is you can spot heat it if you just want to work on one section, like I do on the corner here, and also across the top and the other corner. So I don't have to heat up the entire thing. I'm going to show you how to do it with the blowtorch in case you want to do it that way as well. Just be mindful you are using a flame, and the flame, if you're not careful, will burn this stuff. And it does happen from time to time, it's no big deal. You can sand it back and get rid of the black bits. Just like that, see what I mean? The reason I've added this extra piece up the top here is for the material for when it does get upholstered, which I'll explain in a minute. But I could have potentially done this all in just one piece of plastic had I thought about it before. It's probably easier to do this way rather than trying to manipulate one piece to try and get it the shape you want. So it's probably better that I did do it this way. However, if you really wanted to, you could just do it in one piece. So the reason for having something rigid across the top edge here is because of this. Once the foam is in place, and if I get the fabric and stretch the fabric over for the upholstery, it ends up leaving a bit of a gap, as you can see there. So that gap, depending on how tight you pull it, is always going to happen. So by having something rigid for it to actually pull on, it doesn't have that ability, and so it keeps that nice sharp edge and hard up against your tank, which just looks way better if you ask me. So that's the side profile of the end result. I'm really happy with how that's turned out. One of the things that I just wanted was the flat line across the bottom, and also having this so it just flows nicely. As you can see there, it does. That foam is super fun to work with. I love shaping it, it's very satisfying. It does make a mess, but you know, with fun comes mess, so I'm happy with that. There's a few imperfections in it, which I will fix. That one there, there's one on the other side as well. What I'll do is I'll just cut a decent section out, put a new piece in, and then just sand that down. You may not see it once the upholstery goes on, because the upholstery has that foam that sits just underneath the vinyl itself. But I will fix it just in case you can see that in the end result. There's a few little small imperfections that I am going to go over. And the gap that runs across the bottom here, and also the gap that runs through there, we're going to keep going at it until the actual upholstery covers those gaps. One thing that I really wanted to make sure of, that I didn't make the upholstery taller than this, because otherwise you would end up with this, you know, upholstery sitting up here. It just would not look right. So I made sure I stayed down below it, and it's left a little gap there, but that's fine. We'll fill that up, and we'll fill that gap across the bottom as well, because the foam will actually fill that up. Really happy with it. It's probably not going to be the most comfortable seat because it is so thin, but you know, it is a cafe racer and they never really designed for long distances, so I can always change out a seat if I really wanted to. So I really hope this video gave you some inspiration or ideas on how to build your own seat base with some basic tools. I've seen time and time again guys get their seats done by the upholstery guys, and then they get them back and they're just disappointed because it doesn't quite fit the bike, or it's not exactly what they had in mind. So if you can shape it yourself and just get them to cover it, a bit like what I'm doing here, then you'll be much happier, because you're just going to get them to lay pretty much a cover over whatever you've designed. If you're interested in using the same materials that I used here, like the foam, the seat base, and also the clips, I've got them on my website, caferacergarageshop.com. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.